The sports economics seems to be reshaping after the landmark player auction for the Women's 100. International cricket is back in focus as New Zealand welcomes South Africa with a comprehensive win in the first of the 5-match Women's T20I series. Australia and West Indies both named squads for their upcoming white ball tour in the Caribbean, which also saw the cancelling of the scheduled one-off test, a format the home side last played over 20 years ago. Finally, the Women's BPL was postponed for yet another time as the frustration only builds up in the minds of the Bangla players. Let's talk about what it all means. The inaugural auction of the 100 was an eye-opener for a lot of us, and I spoke about the patterns that laid bare in the last video. Do check it out if you haven't already. With a lot of shuffling, it'll be interesting to see if the tourney follows an auction cycle system like the IPL. In that case, it's fair to say that all teams have done a fantastic job of building a strong core around whom they can place the bulk of the responsibility. But the one team that's really stood out for me in terms of balance, squad depth, batting lineup, bowling attack, etc. was the Birmingham Phoenix. Owned by an American investment firm, they did not go beyond £100,000 for anyone but Lindsay Smith. Although, they did place an unsuccessful bid for £110,000 for Paige Schofield. In Davina Perrin, Emma Lamb and Tammy Beaumont, they managed to secure 3 top-class domestic batters for under £150,000 cumulatively. Having already brought in Alice Capsey as a pre-season signing, that is easily the best domestic batting lineup amongst all 8 teams. And then there's the bowling attack consisting of Lauren Filer, Alana King, Lindsay Smith, Lucy Hamilton and Elise Perry. Excellent variety, more than adequate face coverage and a nice mix of youth and experience. With still 4 months to go for the season, it'll be very exciting to see how the side performs on the field. Elsewhere, South Africa began their tour of New Zealand with a dismal performance as New Zealand won the first T20I to take home the lead. Mealy Kirk continued her good form, scoring a blistering 78 of 44 balls and took New Zealand to a well above par score of 190. Barring the medium pacer Masabata class, no one really was able to choke the White Ferns. The biggest surprise though was Suzie Bates' batting position, as she did not walk into bat despite her side losing 6 wickets. Not sure how much of it was due to a bulk of the wickets falling post the 16th over and New Zealand probably feeling that they were better off pushing the likes of Brooke Halliday, Izzy Sharp and Maddie Green. With Eden Carson most likely missing the T20 World Cup due to her rehab and Nancy Patel being too raw, I wonder if they're considering Suzie Bates as their lead-off spinner for the tourney. That would really be some switch for the 38-year-old. Their opponents though never really got into the groove of the game, as they were completely demolished in both innings. The first innings did indicate a fairly true surface that offered batters a good value for their shots. The second innings was a complete opposite of that. The Kiwi Pacers used the new ball to great effect as they completely tied down the Protea batters. It did help that they went for Cindy Lees and Tasman Brits as their openers. 2 batters who take a bit of time to get off the blocks. In all likelihood, it is a makeshift arrangement to strengthen the middle order by having Laura Wolfart at number 3 in Maizan Kaap's absence. Wolfart's known weakness against the in-swinger notwithstanding, she got out to a creative ploy by Jessica to get the ball into the right-hander from around the wicket. Barring Kayla Reneke and Nadine de Klerk, no one from the South African top order managed to strike it over 100. Further, the Caribbean islands continue to host some exciting women's cricket action as Australia make their way for a white ball tour of 3 ODIs in St. Kitts and Nevis and 3 T20Is in St. Vincent and Grenadines. There was a last-minute change too, as the scheduled one-off test was cancelled to increase focus on some prep for the upcoming T20 World Cup. The reject is yet another shot in the arm for naysayers who think that the format has very little relevance in women's cricket. And it's hard to argue with that, considering West Indies has played just 1 women's test since 1980. However, it's also understandable that West Indies will want to focus on the shortest format, with them having scheduled only 1 tri-series versus Ireland and Pakistan in May after this. Talking about the squads, the home side have stuck to the same set of 15 that featured in the series against Sri Lanka a couple of weeks ago. The batting unit in particular will be under the scanner, with none of them really firing versus Sri Lanka. Between Jazara Claxton, Shawnee Shah Hector and previously Zaida James, there's been a lot of shuffling going around for the number 3 position. The lack of a stable number 3 hasn't helped any of their big names in the middle order to perform consistently. For the visitors, the newly appointed captain Sophie Molyneux is slated to feature in the tour after missing out on the final 2 ODIs and the one-off test against India last month. Annabelle Sutherland has also been given some rest to manage her workload, while Alana King has been drafted in to bolster their spin attack, a bunch that would be interested in bowling on these surfaces. Another notable addition is Lucy Hamilton, who earned her test and ODI cap in the home series versus India. Grace Harris has also been rested, and in comes New South Wales wicketkeeper Talia Wilson. who will serve as backup to Beth Mooney. With Belsey not available, it'll be interesting to see what combination they go ahead with in these conditions. In Bangladesh, the repeated postponement of the women's BPL ended up highlighting deeper structural challenges and the inertia that exists within the system that could end up potentially harming not just the Bangla girls due to fewer high-level competitive opportunities for domestic players, but women's cricket globally. The national team has improved steadily in international cricket, but its players still lack consistent exposure to elite professional environments, a known secret for most fans. But outside that, a successful WBPL will expand opportunities for associate cricketers in Asia and beyond, and create another professional destination for international cricketers. The positive network externalities that such leagues generate has been clearly visible with how WBPL, WPL and the Women's 100 accelerated the growth of women's cricket in their respective countries. At a time when investment and interest in women's cricket are accelerating worldwide, delays like this risk leaving promising cricketing nations on the outside of the sport's next big phase. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the week in women's cricket, make sure you subscribe for more weekly updates, analysis and stories from around the women's game. Because women's cricket deserves the same attention as the game we've been watching for decades.